doesn't sound like a flex. But when you come at it with like, look, I started out, I didn't have a lot of money. I got a microphone for $50 and lasted me 5 years. Like, those are the things that you can begin to look at. Okay, where are the areas that I can lean into if I don't have money to start? That can feel very relieving a lot of times, instead of feeling like you have to put on this front of making it seem like money is this big unfair advantage of yours. So keep that in mind, because that principle carries through the rest of these letters in the framework, where you can either have it and it's an advantage, or if you don't have it, you can also turn that into an advantage. And an example of that is when I first started my podcast, I was in my childhood bedroom and I had a really, $50 microphone. It was very like janky setup, but at the same time, that was my advantage. It was something that when guests would come on, it's not like they would judge me for it. They would actually kind of probably respect it to some extent, because it's like, wow, look, this person's still making it work despite whatever weird setup they got going on, right? So a lot of times when you're acting despite the fact that you don't have money, that can be seen as very like taking initiative, very ambitious, and very honorable a lot of times. So the I in Miles framework stands for intelligence and insight. Now, this does not mean book smarts all the time. It can be creativity, it could be social intelligence. Whatever these things are, though, again, look for whether I do have them or I don't have them. Because let's say you're not a very intelligent person, you don't consider yourself to be. The fact that, let's say, you are connecting with really big guests, or you're talking about really cool things and people are enjoying your stuff. Think about how later on, if you talked about it, you were like, yeah, I'm not super smart. I didn't go to school for this thing, but I was just super curious about it and, loved uncovering insights from people that I talked to. So that angle of framing it is like, look, I don't have a ton of intelligence around this, but I am relentlessly curious, right? That can be a way to position that if you feel like the intelligence and insight aspect is a disadvantage for you. Something I want to point out so far with money and with intelligence is when it is an advantage for you, it's not something you're blatantly expressing, right? You're just kind of doing. Like, if you have a lot of money already, then go get the studio time, go get the nice cameras, go buy the guests, go buy the ads, right? But you're not necessarily communicating that as the unfair advantage. Versus if you don't have those things, you do have a reason and a way to kind of communicate that and be like, yep, that is an unfair advantage. I did it without that stuff.